Hello everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. Time to take that walk and go see what's in the fridge today. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. We got us a beer here from Bent Paddle Brewing. This was sent to me by Tyler, and Bent Paddle is out of Duluth, Minnesota. Says here, Lake Superior is about 1,300 feet deep. At that depth, this is about as dark as our stout ER Porter. And they're calling this a black ale. Bent Paddle Black Ale. Now, ale, it could be a black pale ale. It could be a black IPA. It could be a black porter. It could be a black stout. There's so many variations of a black ale. Some people do like I said, a pale ale with some darker malt and not quite as much hoppiness, and then some do a black IPA, which is pretty much an IPA with some darker malt, and then a lot of the porters are brewed with some really dark malt, some black patent, and some dark roasted malt, and the stouts the same way. So I mean, just depends on what the brewer, what direction he wants to go in to what it is. And a prime example of that is this beer. At both sites, Rate Beer and Beer Advocate calls it American Black Ale. That is the style. Rate Beer calls it a stout. So, porter, stout, ale, black IPA. I mean, it just depends on the hop profile to what you're going to end up with more than likely there, and how much black malt or dark malt or roasted malt that you use in producing the beer. This is it says 6% here on Rate Beer. Let me see what it has on the can. .0% alcohol by volume. So 6%, don't have the IBUs listed. Commercial description says brewed to a smooth, chocolatey, semi-roasted ale that bridges the islands of porter and stout. So that's where they're going with this one. Somewhere between a porter and a stout. And if you aren't a fan of bridges, there's always the canoe, it says here. So, food pairings for this beer, going over to Beer Advocate where it has them. Stouts have a food pairing. That's a registered style in the BJCP, and so do porters. Black IPAs do not, and black ales or black pale ales do not. So they're not giving me the food pairing here for this. If it's roasted malt, more than likely it's going to go well with your chocolate dishes, your stronger dishes. Any cheeses are going to be your stronger cheeses, your blue, cheddar, pepper jack, Monterey, Gorgonzola, Limburger, and I would say your stronger dishes like salmon, grilled meat, and seafood would probably go well with it. So, not recommended for extended cellaring. Glassware, pint, Becker, tumbler, mug, stein, Sidell. I'm going to use my favorite glass again today, guys. This is a solid beer glass. A lot of people ask me about this glass. If you want to get you one of these, you can Google it. It's Sauvin Beer Glass. S-A-U-V-I-N. Sauvin Beer Glass. Put it on Google, type it in, it'll tell you where to get it. It's not a cheap glass. I think this glass is about 30 bucks. But it is the heaviest glass I've ever seen for a tool glass. Alright, put that around where y'all can see it. Mint paddle, black, and they're going between a porter and a stout. Herb, porter, herb, stout. So, about a finger of head over into the light. I am seeing none through this big, thick part here. But looking down through the thin part, the smaller part of the glass down here, is a rich red ruby color. And I can see the bulb through it too, but not up there through this thick part here. Well, let's get a nose on it. I'm getting cocoa, I'm getting coffee. Definitely getting some coffee there. Rich roasted malt, almost to like burnt, like toast smell. The toast and the coffee are coming out more than the chocolate. In the nose, anyway. Got a nice smell, it really does. Definitely not a black IPA. I'm not getting any hop profile in there. Or a black ale. This is definitely somewhere between a porter and a stout, according to what they're writing here and according to what I'm smelling here. Well, smells good. Smells like a piece of toast, almost to the burnt characteristics to me. Let's give it a taste. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Tyler. Thank you, brother. Definitely got the heavy roasted malt, almost to the burnt characteristics on the malt. Maybe even be some burnt malt in it. Slight hints of some cocoa in there or some bittersweet chocolate. The roasted malt and coffee. Even though there's no coffee added to this, I am getting some coffee notes. Very nice. You could call this a porter, or you could call it a stout. And that's why they're saying what they're saying. They're trying to bridge the gap here, evidently, between a porter and a stout. Had a lot more stouts that were heavier, thicker mouthfeel than this, with more cocoa, more chocolate, more coffee, depending on which way they were going and what they wanted the beer to be. And the same for porters. The porters used to be a lighter version of a stout, lower ABV, and something that the dock workers back in the 1700s could have for lunch or with their dinner and go back to work. But now, us Americans, we want to imperial everything. I mean, we want to make the biggest, the strongest, highest ABV, most IBUs. I mean, they just want to go out off the chain with everything. So now you're getting imperial porters where there was no such thing back in that day. And some of the stouts are a little lighter in color. You get that red ruby tinges in there, where you typically or normally you would only have that in your porters, being with a little lighter malt. But it all depends on what the brewer wants to call it, guys. I mean, if he wants to call his stout a porter, he can call it a porter. Or if he wants to call it, some of those characteristics are a little stronger in the stouts usually, but now we're doing imperial porters, that muddies up the water substantially. So this depends on what they want to call it. So I've had pale ales that tasted like IPAs and IPAs that tasted like pale ales. So well, let's sip on this one and let her taste it and come back and do the final chug and grade. Might even fire up a stogie with this one, I don't know. It's probably about that time, yeah. So let me give her a sip or two or three and we'll come back and do the final grade on this one, guys. Alright guys, I'm back. Got a little left here, been sipping on it about 35-40 minutes or so. It's a decent, I don't know if you want to call it a porter or a stout. They're trying to bridge the gap here, to me, from what I've read here, but it's okay. I mean, it's not outstanding or exceptional, nothing to write home about, but it's pretty decent. Be a lot better if it had a date on the bottom of the can somewhere, so we'd know how old the beer is, but it does not. But I do appreciate Tyler sending it to me, so let's do the final chug here. I would definitely classify this more of a porter than a stout. It has a very thin mouthfeel. I'm getting the coffee and the rich roasted malt. Slight hints of some chocolate in there. And that's about it. I mean, I'm not getting a whole lot of cocoa in there or any rich chocolate or anything in there. It's above average, but I don't think it's quite to the A category. Just my opinion. I might step up to the plate if I knew how old the beer was, and that's not over on Tyler's part for sending it to me. That falls on the responsibility of the brewery, not the people that's picking it up and sending it to me. They have no control over that. They can just go buy the freshest they can get their hands on before they ship it out to me. So it's decent. It's decent. Maybe a good transitional porter, if you will, but there are a lot more porters out there that have a lot more impressive taste to me. I'm getting the rich roasted malt, almost to the burnt characteristics there. Little hints of chocolate, not much. Getting some coffee there. Maybe some toffee or caramel in there, but that's about it. I'm not getting a whole lot of dark fruitiness and nothing. It's very thin. Guys, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to give this a 6. I think this is a B beer. I've had a lot of porters slash stouts, if you want to call it a stout. I don't really consider it a stout with the taste and aromas that I'm getting off of this one. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's a nice 6% porter, especially with the red rubbiness I was getting in the bottom of the glass. So, with that being said, 6 for me here, guys. Might give it to 7 if it had a date on it, but it does not. So we're going to give it to 6, which is a B. Over to Beer Advocate, they say 87 in a very good range. If I was putting a numeric rating on this, guys, it'd be somewhere in there between an 85 and an 87, somewhere in that area. And over to Rate Beer. Rate Beer has some impressive numbers. They say 94 overall and 94 in the style. Wouldn't quite go that. I think those numbers are a tad high for this beer. But it was tasty. I don't think I've had anything else from Bent Paddle, not that I can recall. So it was a nice offering from them. It was tasty. It was above average. But to me, in my opinion, it's not quite to the A category, guys. Very easy drinking for a 6%. Well made. I didn't get any of that alcohol. But it did have, like I said, a little on the thin side as far as the mouthfeel goes. But a decent. And I would like for them just to go ahead and make up their mind and call it a porter instead of porter slash stout or trying to bridge the gap or whatever. It's definitely, in my opinion, more of a porter than it is a stout. So a very lightweight stout. But it was tasty. So we're going to leave it at that. If you've had this from Bent Paddle, this is their, I think they're just calling it a black ale. I've just seen them say this is their porter or their black porter or whatever, just to call it a black ale. Like I said, both of these, one's calling it American Black Ale and the other's calling it a stout. It's not a stout. Not to me it isn't anyway. It doesn't have the mouthfeel or any of those heavy chocolatey notes and dark fruit in there. So very easy drinking. Glad I got to try it. So thanks Tyler for sending it to me. And if you've had this one, like I said, from Bent Paddle, or Black Ale, let me know what you think, guys. So come on back tomorrow. Let's go see what's in the fridge.